When will your kid be back in school? 1 hour from now, JCPS superintendent will provide an update, potentially giving us a timeline and an update on those bus routes. It's our top story at 5.
That's right. A live news conference is coming up at 6. We're also expected to learn from the superintendent, Marty Polio, if JCPS will have school the rest of the week. Right now, as you know, classes are called off through tomorrow. Again, WHAS11 News will be carrying the news conference for you live at 6, 1 hour from now. But first, the new information obtained by WHAS11 News today. A letter Dr. Polio emailed to bus drivers over the weekend sharing short-term changes the district is putting into place and listening to the bus drivers. Isaiah Kim Martinez breaks down the email and is talking to parents and students about what's ahead.
One of the many short-term solutions proposed by Dr. Marty Polio is having some additional JCPS staffers on board some of the buses with GPS to, of course, help with directions as well as communication. These will be for some of the buses with the more complicated, longest routes. The email, obtained by WHAS11 News and then confirmed through JCPS, shows direct communication between Superintendent Polio and bus drivers on Saturday, a day after meeting face-to-face. Polio admitting he and his team should have listened when union leadership pointed out holes in the new routing system. He outlined short-term plans the school district will execute, including 1. Having additional JCPS staffers drive marked vans to take elementary school students home or back to school when there isn't an adult waiting for them at a stop. 2. This will also apply to take-home students on late arrival buses. And finally, Polio also said they'll be reducing the length of routes with the most stops, starting with afternoon runs. Tess Sturgeon, an Atherton High School senior, believes choosing Alpha Route, the company hired by JCPS to optimize bus routes, wasn't the way to go.
I think it completely ignores any nuance that a bus driver might need in their bus routes.
According to Teamsters Local 783, which represents many JCPS bus drivers, Alpha Route officials are in Louisville as of Saturday. The bus driver union telling me drivers practiced routes through the weekend. In the letter, Polio says issues of buses crisscrossing the county instead of being focused on one area of town is a longer-term fix they'll need time to address. And as for JCPS parents and teachers themselves,
and it's been stressful. I thank Dr. Polio for standing up as he is. I pray for him daily because of the situation that's going on.
They're crossing their fingers, hoping for the smoothest restart whenever it happens. In Louisville, Isaiah Kim Martinez, WHAS11 on your side.
According to Superintendent Polio, they will also be making sure each child is correctly tagged for their schools as well as for their morning and afternoon buses. Again, we will be airing Polio's live update right here on WHAS 11 News at 6.
While JCPS is still not back in school today or tomorrow, the school district is offering free lunches to any JCPS student that needs a free lunch. The school district says that they're offering these meals because they know these cancellations were unexpected and create a hardship. Many parents probably didn't have the plan to have to feed their children lunch these specific days.
I get to talk to parents and they talk about how much they appreciate during the summer months and even during breaks when we're able to provide nutritious meals for their families. And that's one of the things I like most about my position. So we're hoping that this service will allow students to come in and get a nutritious meal, and it'll also relieve some of that financial burden that families were not anticipating.
The lunches will be available every day until JCPS goes back to school, and they're available from 11 to 12:30. Students will get a meal that they must eat on the site, and then they'll also get a snack that they can take home with them.
Well, the disastrous first day of school in Louisville is getting attention from across the state. On Sunday, parents aired their grievances at the Democratic State Representatives Forum. Students also chimed in with daunting memories from the first day of school. Many blamed the district's lack of communication with drivers and staff for that chaos. Even teachers say they have been left in the dark. One telling us they have no clue what they're doing. They don't know when school will start back up. Lawmakers took note of ways JCPS can improve.
Fundamental themes were that JCPS needs to listen to the bus drivers, that the bus drivers are the experts on driving the buses. Bus drivers should know their routes, and that the bus stops and the entire system were done by people with great software, but not a familiarity with our district and our community.
Moving forward, he says they will include those recommendations in a detailed letter to JCPS school officials.
Tomorrow we will hear from the JCPS School Board for the very first time since the disastrous first day. All school board meetings are open to the public. It'll start at 6 p.m. at the Van Hoos Education Center. They are dealing with only the transportation issues tomorrow. If you would like to speak, you can sign up in advance at 502-485-3342.
This week, town halls hope to address the foster care crisis in Kentucky. The Citizen Foster Care Review Board was an open forum so parents and caregivers could ask about the system and the work being done to repair it. As we have reported right here on WHAS11, the crisis has grown in Jefferson County. There are so many kids in foster care, some social workers have to stay overnight in office buildings with those children. Also happening right now, kids are being sent out of state because there aren't enough foster homes in Kentucky. One of the big questions today is, what is the system doing to keep kids in their homes before removing them? Michelle Bays with the Department of Community-Based Services said her region will be implementing a new investigative strategy. Now, referrals will be screened and will go one of two ways. Either alternative response paths that help families that might just need some resources, or an investigative path for families who really do need that intervention.
So we became very afraid of what could happen to these kids. So we did start removing a lot for the what ifs. And we've really got to change the culture of that with our social workers, and myself included in that, because it's hard when there's a lot of risk factors identified to remove these kids.
Bays said her division is starting a new preventative branch with millions of dollars going to assistance for families before a kid is taken out of a home.
The other top story we're following right now, the streets around Applegate Lane at Highview and Louisville are blocked as the Environmental Protection Agency today came to town, sweeping through a home found filled with toxic and explosive chemicals.
It comes as the city is still deciding what to do about that home, saying the EPA will first assess the home before they decide whether or not to go on with that controlled burn.
Grace McKenna and Chief Photojournalist Philip Merle spoke to the city today about what's happening at that house and what we should expect next.
All day long, we have watched cars turn around at this barricade as the EPA went inside what's been described as a hoarder house, the place where officials say that Mark Hibble was stashing dangerous chemicals and making homemade explosives. The EPA will now have a say in what happens to clear that house out. Before today, the city described a controlled burn as the safest path forward. The idea was to burn the chemicals at a high heat to consume them. Then, after a community meeting, Mayor Craig Greenberg said the city would consult with the EPA, bringing them here before moving forward. Emergency Management Director Jody Myman said the EPA went inside the house today to assess it and that they could decide there's a safe way to remove the chemicals without burning the home.
We've mentioned all along that we're still working in parallel paths. We're going still with the mentality that we could have to burn the house, and we're going with the mentality that it could still be cleaned up. So we don't want to take our foot off the gas with our planning in case we do have to burn it, so that we're not behind. And if that's the case, we can do it as quick and as safely as possible for all of our responders in the community.
Myman said the EPA isn't moving or clearing any chemicals right now, just conducting tests, but it could be days before we know their results. So there's no clear timeline right now for what will happen to the home. Myman said a full cleanup without a burn could take several weeks. And if a controlled burn is determined to be the best solution, the city has already said that that wouldn't happen this week. In Highview, Grace McKenna, WHAS 11 on your side.
Community members in Carroll County, Kentucky are mourning the loss of a high school athlete shot and killed, police say, by a 40-year-old man. The Owen County, Kentucky coroner says the victim is 16-year-old Bryce Stewart. Stewart was starting his junior year of high school and was a member of the football and cheerleading teams there in the Carrollton area. Kentucky State Police say Stewart was killed in a shooting incident early Sunday morning. It happened at a home in Owenton, that's in Owen County. 40-year-old Timothy Stone has been arrested and charged with manslaughter in this shooting. Carroll County High School principal Amy Sutter says that the campus and the football field are open right now for students to have a safe space to gather and grieve, and the investigation into what happened is ongoing.
This morning, there was a huge police scene in an Indiana elementary school. 3 people were found dead inside of a car right outside of that school in northwest Indianapolis. According to Indianapolis Metro Police, officers found 3 men dead in the car on Gatewood Drive. That is the road right outside of Jonathan Jennings School 109. A 4th person was found intoxicated and taken to a local hospital. There was no obvious signs of trauma, according to police. The buses were routed around that scene.
Also new tonight, a lineman working for LG&E Louisville as a contractor died from electrocution over the weekend. On the job, LG&E and KU releasing a statement to WHAS11 saying the line technician from Pike Electric Company was working near Preston Highway at Loretta Street on Saturday. The coroner identified him as Jamison Hall from Sawyerville, Kentucky. An LG&E spokesperson says they are investigating the accident to find out what happened. And a statement from the company says, quote, "This is a tragic loss and our hearts go out to the contractor's family and loved ones, as well to our employees, especially co-workers and emergency personnel who responded to the job site where the incident occurred." LG&E goes on to say resources are available to employees as they cope with the loss.